Wow, what a pleasure it is to see all my good friends out there coming into the program today on a cold Sunday afternoon up here in Boston. We're about 13 degrees. It got down to about zero last night. The wind was howling. But I'll tell you, the sun is nice and shiny today. We got a beautiful blue sky. And what amazes me, what really amazes me, the sun is 93 million miles away, but even on a 13-degree day, you can walk out and snow is beginning to melt with the sun hitting it on the driveway. Now, isn't that something? What an amazing thing when you stop and think about a giant furnace 93 million miles away warming us up here on planet Earth. Well, what a gift from God. Anne Marie, are you there with us?
Absolutely. How are you, my brother? Happy Sixth Green Sunday.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. Well, I tell you, your area out there in San Jose, California. I mean, you're about an hour away, you said last night. I mean, you got a big event going on out there. It's one of the biggest events all year. It's the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's a big deal in California. It's all about the Super Bowl parties and the barbecues, and all the recipes are on YouTube of what to serve at your Super Bowl party. Even Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot of them get together for Super Bowl parties.
Well, you know something it's Super Bowl is about the only holiday they can really celebrate. It's not a holiday, but the only celebration they can have. But I got thinking the other day it was Groundhog Day, and I'm thinking, wow, well maybe the witnesses could celebrate Groundhog Day. But then I even looked into that, and they even had an article that it comes from a pagan origin, Groundhog Day.
Everything's pagan. People need to understand the word pagan is basically pre-Christian. Hello.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is pagan. You're absolutely right. You know, at one time, and I don't know if you knew this. I think you probably do. But the Watchtower, I believe it was back in the 1920s or maybe early 30s, that they were really concerned about the months of the year being from pagan origin and gods and what have you. Like, I don't know the origin of January, or I don't know but they tried to change their own calendar. They wanted to come up with their own calendar and change the months to different names because they came from some bad roots, you know?
Well, why not? They went and changed God's word how many times?
Yeah.
They want to do everything their way.
Well, it's amazing what they do and how they try to get away with stuff. And well, what's really of interest this week, and we discussed it last night. We were talking about Norway and how Norway is coming down heavy on the witnesses. And I believe the trial ends tomorrow. It's been going on for a couple of days now. I think it's a 3-day trial. So we're very concerned as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, because the Jehovah's Witness organization, for those listening in here and don't know about it, in Norway, the Jehovah's Witnesses are really being scrutinized for their shunning practice. And the Norwegian government says, you know, you can't shun. We give you money every year, like the tune of $1.25 million a year. But now Norway is saying, look we don't want to have to give you that money if you're going to shun. So they're in court. It's going to be settled hopefully tomorrow. And we're hoping that the Norwegian government does come against the Jehovah's Witnesses and the witnesses lose. Anne Marie, I hope that can happen.
Oh, we all hope it can happen. And yes, Watchtower overall has been winning a lot of court cases over the history of court cases with Watchtower. But we may lose a lot of battles, but that doesn't mean we're going to lose the war, because you know what? The truth always comes out.
Exactly. Well, let me just kind of invite anyone that would like to come on and tell their story. I do have a whole lot of people coming in here on the telephone line. Do we have Orlando coming in from Florida? No, that's funny. His name's Orlando. There is an Orlando, Florida. But Orlando, are you there with us from the state of Florida? He was going to try. He called in for the first time last night. And I said, Orlando, maybe you'd like to tell your story in our program. So anyways, if we don't have Orlando, you do see I'll put the telephone number up on the screen here. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, call the number in and tell your story. If you're an ex-witness just shaking yourself loose, come on today and tell your story here in the 6 Screens with Anne-Marie. She would love to hear your story, and the audience would too. And I know you support that idea, Anne-Marie.
Oh, no doubt. I just know that maybe some people with so much to tell, they've been holding it in for so long, especially when they were in the organization, had to be so careful not to say this, not to express that, not to share their real opinions. They just held it in for so long that the thought of share your story kind of might be overwhelming, but if they could just say, hi, I was in the organization for all my life, or, say one thing, 2 things. And if that's all, that's fine. Just want them to feel comfortable, because what you have done, Brother Rick, providing this time in your show schedule, just goes to my, they just want to talk. But maybe they only want to say 2 things. I still can't share my story, and I've been with the 6 Screens for how many years? So I can understand. But you advise so beautifully. And by the way, my brother Rick, I have to say, I was so happy the way you handled JW World News yesterday, Saturday, February 7th, 2006,
Regarding what? Well, something happened to Anne-Marie's phone. I don't know what it is. It's really a shame.
I'm sorry. It's my provider.
It's a provider, yeah. She has a bad provider out there that's, it really, it's a shame, because sometimes she does, it comes through good. Other times it gets very choppy, especially on Sunday. I don't know why that happens. Saturday it's not too bad, but on Sunday it always breaks up. Well, what provider are you using, Anne-Marie? Well, I'm not sure if you can even hear me now, but anyways, if you're out there listening, yeah. Count to 5, Anne-Marie. Yeah, it's all breaking up. It's all garbly. I'm not sure why. Well, it's dial out and then come back in again, Anne-Marie. See if that straightens it out for you. Sometimes I can do it. I don't know. But anyways, you're on 6 Screens. We got a program here called Jehovah's Witnesses share their story of being in the Watchtower. If you're listening in on YouTube or Facebook, our radio network, and you'd like to tell your story. When people tell stories at the 6 Screens, I see the viewers go up. Everyone loves a story. And all of us have a story to tell of being in the Watchtower. But I'll tell you, I've heard so many stories. I've never had a story where a person came on and said, boy, I was so glad to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. I never had that. And we've been doing this program for like 20 years, but never had someone say, boy, I was glad to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It just wasn't the case. You back with us, Anne-Marie?
I'm trying. I don't know if you can hear me.
Well, yeah, that's better now. Yep. That's better now. Yep.
Moment. It's very, very choppy. I'm sorry. It's all about money. If I could have a decent phone, this is my 5th phone.
Well, do you think
it doesn't work?
Is it the phone or is it the server? I mean, the provider. Who do you go through? How do you get your phone service? What's the company? Is it Metro? Is it because out there in California we have had troubles before. I believe it was Metro. Which one do you have?
Yeah, I don't know about Metro. Metro's supposed to be good, but it's $50 a month for the rest of your life, and I just don't have money. It's all money. So,
yeah.
Do you have anybody on the
line? Does someone want to come in? We haven't got anybody as of yet to want to come and tell their story. Boy, I'll tell you what. This is the place to do it. This is where Jehovah's Witnesses come to talk. But we had this man Orlando last night. Hold on one second. I got a call coming in here. Hold on one second. Hello? Hello? Who's this? Oh, Dick. Yeah. Did you want to come in?
I'll let you go. We're not hearing the program.
Are you? Excuse me one second. We got.
But it's now this time, honey. We can't hear you at all. It's just
making some crazy noise.
Okay, on what? On the telephone line or YouTube?
YouTube, honey.
Huh. Nobody else is complaining. Maverick, are you in there? Maverick, is YouTube sound working all right?
Hi, Rick.
Yeah. Yes, Maverick.
Yeah, it seems to be fine with me. I'm not sure
All right. Well, I don't know.
what's going on there, but it's crystal clear on my end.
Yeah, it's crystal clear for Maverick and others listening in. Why don't you dial out and come? What's that? What's that?
Maybe it's off.
Yeah, well, it must be you guys because I'm not getting any messages. So shut it down, come back on again, and see what happens. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Bye. So there you go. That's well, people. I'm glad people at least alert us that Stick and Constance out there in South Carolina. They said that they can't hear on YouTube, but we're doing fine on YouTube. I mean, every once in a while, listen. This is technology. Sometimes you're going to have some issues, but this is a live program. We're the only ones who really do live programs like this, and it's not for everybody. There's going to be a lot of you hit the wrong switch or the sound. All of it sometimes can create some issues. Susan, what did you want to say?
Hey, Rick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to say there's a couple people that I'd like to request to hear their story. One is Maverick, and since he's coming through so good, if he'd be willing, or would like to hear King of Dot.
Yeah.
If they're on.
Let's see. Yeah, we do have we got a lot of people coming in the phone line. We have if anyone listening in on this phone line right now would like to tell this story, go ahead. Okay. If anyone's listening in right now and would like to tell this story here today on our program, Extra Jehovah's Witnesses, share their story of being in the Watchtower, by all means, come in right now. Just hit *6 is all you got to do. *6. Well, I know Maverick's out there. Maverick, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself over there in London? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, I don't know. I seem to sort of say what I'm about every week, but it comes out in little pieces. So maybe I do an official one. I don't know. I could tell you some background about my journey in the Watchtower, but yeah, I could do that.
All right, well, let's do.
That'd be good.
Let's do that. Anne Marie, we have Maverick. He's coming in from London. Can you hear us all right, Anne Marie?
Oh, yeah, we all love Maverick. Maverick, we would love to hear anything you have to share with us about Utrecht and the Watchtower.
Well, okay. Well, I'll do my best to try and make it concise. But thank you. The love's straight back to everybody as well. I mean, I love being here with everyone. And so my journey in the Watchtower started with my mum. I'm like we kind of came in at the same time because I was still at school. I was young. She started to study the Watchtower with the society around mid-80s, around 86. And then I sort of a couple of years after that. So I was just at the end of my high school, which was equivalent to American high school. I was just leaving high school, looking at wanting to go into college. And that's when my family was sort of introduced to the Watchtower. Now, my background, my family background, I'm a Mediterranean origin, so my family came to London my grandfather was here after the Second World War. So I'm not going to give you the whole story of my my family history, but I'm like the first generation of actually born in England. So my family is a Cypriot family from the little island of Cyprus. My family descent in the Mediterranean, and so I was born in London. So I'm a Londoner through and through, but my family background is from the Mediterranean. So from that, I'm the first generation in London. There was a civil war in the island, so that's what brought my family to the UK, and my grandfather was in the British Army. So that's that part of it. That's my kind of like background into the UK. So from there, our neighbour up the road was. I went to school with. We went to school together, the children, and the mum was a witness. she was a witness, and she used to witness to my mum outside the school gates. So that's how we were introduced to the organization, and that, you know, and so my personal time in my family was turbulent, not because of like a lack of love, but my father was dealing with a lot of trauma in his life. He had a lot of trauma, personal trauma growing up. So he was emotionally quite a lot going on. He had a lot going on. And everyone can still hear me? I'm not sure. I'm not getting any feedback. So
We can hear you just fine. We're just,
okay, great.
we're not getting
Yeah,
feedback,
I wasn't
we're
sure.
all just kind of mesmerized.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, so okay, cool. I just wanted to check. So yeah, so my family life. My father had a lot of emotional, mental issues. He saw quite a lot of bad things when he was young, growing up in the civil war in Cyprus, and so that kind of shook him to the core. He was sort of 9, 10 years old when the first bout of unrest was happening over there. And so from there, he, you know, as people do, they think, oh, well, they just, you know, you get older, you get married and just get on with it. But it took a toll on my family. It took a toll on my family. And so my father was around. He wasn't absent in person, but he was absent emotionally from being able to invest in us as a family. So we had that going on just at the time when my mum was introduced to the Watchtower. So I always had this thing where you people say you trauma in and trauma out. It's like there's usually a lot of people are in some sort of trauma. Not always, but I've noticed that the stories I've heard over a long period of time in listening to people's experiences is that they come in to the organization because there's some personal crisis going on, or they're at their wits' end, and then they get a knock on the door or something like that. And that's what. So I've coined this phrase to myself. Like it's very common. It's trauma in, and then trauma gets you out as well. So it's traumatic experiences. So there was a lot going on in my family at that point, and then suddenly being introduced to this congregation of oh wow, these lovely people who are really taking an interest in you and so on. And I'm like, now, how old was I then? Kind of when my mom was studying, I was around 15. Around 15. And I took to it like a duck to water because my mom said, oh, there's this brother who wants to kind of do a little study with you. And I said, what do you mean study? I would say, well, you know, just try it for 1 week, and if you like it, you can carry on. So that one lesson, that one study, that was supposed to be an example, and then it just carried on because I was kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, I don't mind. Seemed interesting. I was always a spiritual person in myself anyway. I was always curious about what life is all about. So I used to look at the sky and think, one day, whether it's in this life or wherever we go after, if we go anywhere, I'll find out. I'll find out what this life is all about. It might take me my whole life to find out, but there's got to be something out there. There's got to be something that means something. We can't just have just appeared and it's for absolute nothing. So that's how my logic used to be, like from a very early age, sort of like 9, 10 years old. So I guess that would make me somebody who's sort of like spiritually curious even in my very young memories. And I don't know whether that was because I had a lot going on in my family at the time. Sometimes things like this actually make you think about more deeper things too early. You know, like you're supposed to be enjoying going out with your friends and just playing and not thinking about anything too deep. But when you have like a lot of things going on in your personal family life, you can often become you can start thinking about things too early, and you lose your kind of childhood. But I'm not going to sort of present myself as being not having a happy childhood. I had a happy childhood. My mum was a wonderful person. And she was, without her, I think I would have really been a different person, I think, personally. She was the anchor. She was both my parents. She's always been. She's still, alive and well. So my father has passed away a few years ago, so he's not around anymore. But yeah, so that's that kind of introduction to the Watchtower. And then this was 6 months into the Watchtower. I was already, I thought, yeah, I need to get baptized. So this was now 1989, and I was trying to go, and this is, I got caught in, Anne-Marie, I'll say, I got caught into the whole classic rhetoric of put Jehovah first, and you can do all the other things like get your education and whatever. Now, I was very, 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 like, ferociously ambitious. I still am. And so for me, like, I knew I wanted to do something and be someone and do something. So I did go to college. I started to go to college, but the first set of courses I was trying to do wasn't a good fit for me. I made a mistake in what I chose. And at that time, it was in the early 90s, if you can remember, it was a huge drive for pioneers. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do this course anymore anyway, thinking that it wasn't the right course for me. It was actually in furniture design. I'm a hands-on kind of person. At that time, I was top of my school in wood crafts and metal work and craftsmanship. And then I went to college for a little bit, and I thought, no, this isn't for me. So I actually went to I dropped that course, and I did an actual, what's in England called the City and Guilds, which is like a proper trades thing. It was a trade. It was either that or computers. So I thought, I don't want to sit in front of an office all day long. So I decided to go into that. Now, this is the point where the Watchtower got me, because I basically decided to forsake that concentration of getting everything, all your education and all foundation in your own life out of the way, like proper, put your roots down as a young man. Now I'm now 18, 19 years old, and I remember being asked to at the assembly. So I got baptized within 6 months. Sorry, I'll go back a little bit. I got baptized 16 and a half, 17 and a bit. I was already auxiliary pioneering, and then by 18 I was a regular pioneer. So it was whoosh, like a whirlwind. I just got straight into, this is the truth. I know what my life's about. I know what I want to do now, and I felt like I was doing everything I can as a young person. And when we're young, we have the energy for it, and you think you've got eons of time ahead of you to say, right, I can get married when I want. I can get a place of my own later on. Right now, it's about doing what I need to do for Jehovah, right? So I got pulled up in front of the assembly at that age, and it was used as an example of somebody who basically put Jehovah first. And I remember, when I said I just quit college to pioneer, and you can get everything you want from this life, but it just takes a little bit longer. That's why I remember saying that on the platform, and everyone clapping as they do at the assembly. And so I pioneered for 2 and a bit years, and I was invited to the Pioneer School, which at that point in time, personally, things were unraveling in my family life and some personal things as well. And I just couldn't take the stress of it, so I decided to step down from pioneering, much to the shock of everybody in my congregation, because they were like, "Oh, why are you stepping down? You're such a good example." And I said, "I just need to step down." I was burnt out already by about 23, 24-ish. I was burnt out. So that's really my introduction to the organization. Really, first generation. My mum, a few years before me, she learned it. And my mum was a proper diehard textbook witness. She did everything by the book. She absolutely loved the organization and not the organization. She thought she was around the best circumstances for a real, like a healthy environment and a proper environment to let me try and get my thoughts, to be in the best place you can be to serve God. You know, that's where she thought she was, and but we all did, I guess. So I don't know what much else from there. Thinking forward, after that, those middle years in my 20s, I was kind of drifting a lot. I kind of lost my way a little bit. So I thought, let me go back to college. So I went back to college, and that's when I started to feel a bit more myself. And I managed to get through the programs I need to get through for my own stability and so on. But I'll tell you one thing. When we were in the organization, as we all know, I always say that I said it a few weeks ago on the show. I don't know if it was this one or another show. I think it was Rick's show. When you've got this kind of, like when we had the Cold War, it was always a feeling like something's going to happen that's going to interrupt life. And then you question whether what your priorities are. Like if you go to the doctor and the doctor says, I'm really sorry, but I've got bad news for you. You've got about a month left and you need to make the arrangements. You're going to make different arrangements to if you know that you've got decades in front of you. And so I think the biggest impact for me in my life was the fact that overshadowing all of us was different levels of this reminder that we are imminently going to be affected by catastrophic world events that are going to mean that your personal goals and your personal ambitions and your personal interests pale into insignificance. So that is where I think most of the time, most witnesses become like this kind of like I call it like sort of zombie. We become zombied in the organization where we tick over as best we can, but we don't fully invest in our own infrastructure now. And we were given the mantra, as we all know, oh well, you're putting Jehovah first, and you're sacrificing your own personal vanity or whatever, and that's going to be rewarded in the future. So we kind of abandon or postpone our life in the immediate. There's real things that we do to actually impact and help our families have stability in our life. We tend to not invest in that, and that was certainly me for a good amount of time. So we just did what you did. You work, you do the things you have to do to stay afloat, but you don't put the extra thought into, well, you know what? Maybe I do need to start putting some money away for a pension. Maybe I do need to think about, can I afford to maybe buy a home? And so you just don't think like that. Every time you may start like that, certainly for me, you end up thinking, well, what's the point? So the philosophical kind of things that kind of clipped our wings, as it were there all the time. So, and that's where I am, Rick. I don't know what else to say, really, apart from that kind of my first journey into it. I had a personal situation in the organization as well, which I will say, I think it may be a good time to explain this. So when I was pioneering at the time, there was a sister in my congregation, a married sister, who took a beeline for me very strongly and tried very hard. I did feel like Potiphar's wife's situation. Tried her level best to try and get me to compromise. She was a very, very messed up person, and she basically destroyed my well-being, constantly on my case. Now, thankfully, I didn't compromise myself in a big way. Like I didn't entangle myself in the fullest way with that person, but I did feel responsible that I was holding some dark secret in my life at that point in time. This is when I was I'm 52 now. So this would have been 2021. That partly contributed to me feeling like I wasn't really good enough to be a pioneer, so I decided to step down. And people were wondering what's going on with him. You know, all of a sudden he stepped down. But it was partly to do with being burnt out from the level of hours we needed to put in back then, and also this burden of this kind of predatory person who was in our family environment and actually trying to make me compromise. She wanted she wanted me at that point, and that's it. She was determined to get to me as a young green. I wasn't a worldly kind of this, you know, just fresh out of high school, just trying to start my life, and this person who was 15 years nearly older than me, trying her best to get me to be with her on the slide. And the thing that was really hard was we were really close family friends. We were really, really close family friends. And her husband was a really good friend to me. I felt terrible holding the secret from him and I remember the first time she tried just having lunch in their place. She was in the kitchen and she tried to, and I went, "What the hell are you doing?" And she said, "No," and she got really scared, and she basically said, "Oh, please." She started to panic because I said, "Never, ever again. This is never going to happen again. What are you doing?" She had 2 children back then. They had a little baby boy and a 6-year-old daughter. So I'm in a dilemma now. I'm thinking, what do I do now? Do I speak to him? If I speak to the elders, and they're going to destroy her family marriage is destroyed. And so I said, okay, I'll just handle this. I thought I'm doing the best thing by just making sure nothing ever happens, and then just basically trying to deal with it. So from then, there are other aspects of this story which I can't go into because it affected other people in my family too, which I can't speak about. But this person really absolutely had the tentacles in my family. To use that word tentacles, Rick. You know, this one was like that too. So why am I saying all this? I'm basically saying is that the impact that those personal things were happening while trying to kind of handle my own life and think of work and think of everything at the same time and it really leveled me. So I went into about a 7 year, I think close to 7 or 8 years depression at that point. Most of my 20s, I used to be kind of like I don't need this. And I was just used to do what I need to do to live, obviously, but I kind of switched off a lot, and I was drifting a lot because I realized I had this skeleton in my cupboard. So finally, after a good friend at that time basically said, "You know what?" We were sitting there, and he said, "You know what? If you've got something inside you that needs to kind of come out, you need to get it out your system because you'll never feel good about yourself." And I just got up. It was like a revelation that day. I said, "Right, I need to speak to my friend, the husband. I need to speak to him because I hadn't betrayed him. She was trying to push on me all the time, but I managed to keep her away. So I didn't feel like I'd done something so bad, but I was holding a secret from him. So in the end, I went and knocked on his door. He had stopped coming to the meetings. They had broken up. The family had broken up. They had broken up their marriage. So the children are much older now. This is like a decade later. And I'm like, I can talk to him now. So I went and knocked on his door and I said, "Look, we need to talk. There's something I haven't said to you all these years." And He said, what? He was so happy to see me. And I said, well, look, your wife, your former wife, was really trying to get in the sack, as we say in England. She was really trying to get me to compromise. And I felt so bad because of what he said. Why didn't you tell me? I said to him, how could I tell you? Now, this is all going on in the congregation. They're all sitting at the meetings. We're all at the meetings. This is why I think with the organization, they don't really seem to care about people's actual life, outside of, are you going to meetings? Are you doing your ministry? Are you ticking all the boxes? They don't care. It's like, and then what I did was I said, right, I'm actually going to end this now, because I imagine this lady was, I'm not going to use the word psychotic lightly, but she was a narcissist psychopath. And I'm sorry, I mean, this is my experience and she absolutely destroyed my life, but I managed to break free from that. But what I learned was, you need to face things. Sometimes, and this rooted in how I had the courage to leave the organization as well, because I said to myself, if I can face this guy who he said he turns and attacks me. And I said, ever faced, I would have deserved. I said, you know what? I'm going to be a man. I'm going to face him, and I'm going to say to him, look, I was wrong for not coming to you. Nothing happened that was for me, but that I felt, really, really bad about. But I did feel like I was holding a secret from one of my closest friends at the time. His wife was trying it on, and she got me to she tried so hard. And so I was exhausted by the situation. And so going back to him was the absolute, I'll tell you why. It's because I went to the elders. That's one part of it. Is going on this, wipe the slate clean. Guess what the elders, now think about this. There's no issue. Me going to the elders a decade nearly after it happened. Like that does not the event. All that drama with that family, that person. The elder said, we need to have a judicial committee with you. I said, why? It happened so long ago. I didn't have to come to you with this. I just thought, well, I don't want anything on my conscience completely. I want to do the right thing. I'll go to the elders. I went to the elders. They said, we need to have a judicial committee. They reproved me. I said, are you serious? I said, okay, well, fine. All right, then fine. They reproved me. And then the elder said to me, well, you shouldn't have gone to him. You should have come to us first. I said, why should I have come to you first? Well, you didn't. I didn't feel I did anything wrong to you. You're supposed to go to the person that you feel that you wronged. Well, he could have done this and that and the other. I said, no. I'm a man, and I'm going to deal with this as a man. I'm not going to cower and hide behind you guys. So that was all done. I felt like everything had been finished. And I felt like suddenly it opened up, like I was now in my 28, 29, 30. I felt like really, really like free, emotionally and mentally and spiritually free. So after that, things were moving better in my own life. But that's when I started to look into questioning things. Well, one thing happened. I didn't trust the elders anymore. So that was like my personal experiences in the organization were quite not impacted. In some people have had ridiculously traumatic experiences. I would say mine wasn't as traumatic as someone else's, but that same sister was also involved with other people in my congregation, and she was a complete nightmare. She basically was causing carnage everywhere whoever she got into contact with, unbeknown to me. unbeknown to me, some stories came out afterwards about other situations. But it really did impact my emotional well-being, and there was nothing the Watchtower or the elders or anyone, nobody had a clue what was going on. So I don't know what else to say apart from that. From what led me out of the organization was doctrinal things, as I often mention about the 607 issues. Apart from that, I had really good friends in the organization. Two of my closest friends, one of my closest friends basically just ignores me now. He never wanted to speak to me. After I mentioned my disassociation, he seemed to me quite normally before then. But when I said, "Oh, I'm performing, I'm putting my letter in of disassociation," oh, that changes everything. I said, "What does it change, really? Well, how does it change?" It doesn't change anything for me. You know the issues I have, and you just don't want to face them. But you're deciding for yourself that you don't want to talk anymore, because officially I have now said that I'm basically they're both POs. One is an elder, and one is a good friend of mine. He was a regular brother who had problems in the organization as well. And he can't leave. He's a PMO. His family, he's got too much connection. His mum and dad are breaking their, he'll break their hearts, he said. So he just tries to manage. So what can I say? I'm just wondering what else to say, really. I mean, there's so many. I mean, how can I summarize 35 years of my life, sort of thing, with in a in 20 minutes or so? But I don't know if you have any questions about anything, anyone? What I went through.
Maverick.
Yeah.
Maverick.
I have a question. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Maverick, I wanted to know, you said there were about 7 doctrinal issues that you had. Could you list some of them?
Well, yeah, the main one is the 1914 607 stuff, because okay, I'll tell you the background to why looks like I'm obsessed with 607 as a subject, BCE. When I first had my study, I studied in the Live Forever book, the You Can Live Forever in Paradise on Earth, the red one. It was the double spread in the middle of the book, where you see the big arrow going across from 607 landing on 1914. We got to that part of the study when I was studying with the brother, and I had no clue about the controversy that 607 is a date that uniquely belongs to the Watchtower's theology and chronology. So he said to me in passing, now we're at that study point, that's what we were studying, that was the chapter, and he said to me, by the way, if you look in secular history, 587 or 586 BC is the date that Jerusalem fell. And I said, oh, really? And he said, but we say, the society said 607 because 607 is the Bible supports that. So if he hadn't have told me this, I wouldn't have known. Sorry. Yes, Susan.
No, I was just laughing because, you know,
Yeah.
we have excuses for everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, his answer was, look, the society has said it, it's in the publication, they know better than us, so just go along with 607. But he didn't realize that he had planted the seed for me to then, that would have literally lasted my entire journey from start point to end point. So I always used to want a proper definitive answer to why we come up with 607. And I knew the explanation of the 520 years, the day for a year thing, back to front. I didn't understand why people had a problem with explaining how we get to 607. I could explain it with my eyes shut as a witness, but I didn't fully believe it, because I was also quite a very enthusiastic history student, and I loved archaeology, and I used to be in museums all day long, and so it wasn't enough for me to basically just accept that, oh, the society said it's 607, where you have eminent scholars and historians and cuneiform tablets and historical documents all telling you the opposite. So it wasn't enough for me. So I tried to make my own attempt at trying to get to the bottom of this. I didn't even know anything about Ray Franz. I didn't know anything about Carl Olaf Johnson, whose book is like the second. His book is next to my Bible. That's how much I value his research. So Carl Olaf Johnson's book. So to bring it to what happened in 2011, Watchtower produced 2 Watchtowers. November 11, October, I think it was, or November of the 2011, trying to attempt to do a scholarly explanation of how we get to 607 and how the historians and how the archaeologists are wrong. You can imagine, I got really excited. I thought, finally, I'll get to the bottom of this. So I tried to get stuck into those 2 articles, and it just made my head spin. I had no reference. There's no references to check. I couldn't check anything. I couldn't work out how to get to this. So I got a bit disheartened. But at that point now, I started to type in stuff in Google about historical references and so on, and I came across Carl Olaf Johnson's book, Gentile Times Reconsidered. Cha-ching! The light bulb moment for me. I bought the book. I managed to get one. It was so hard back then to get a copy of this book, but I managed to get one from America. Funny enough, I got it sent over from America. It cost me about I think it was only $36, which was really amazing back then, because it was a book. I managed one. I realized that Watchtower at that point, those 2 articles were an attempt to undermine Carl Olaf Johnson's research from that book. I didn't know that was going on. It clicked then, because I realized I worked out, and I know for some people it's like they don't seem to focus on this area of research, but to me it's fundamental, because to put it in a nutshell, Watchtower does have a mandate. The governing body do not have a mandate of divine authority unless, remember, in 1919, Jesus invisibly apparently elected them as the organization, the spokespeople for him on all other religious institutions, all other governments, all other anything. He only recognizes the people he picked in 1919, and you can only get 1919 from 1914, and you can only get 1914 if 607 is correct. So the timeline, they rely on the timeline. And if a person goes into jw.org now, types in 1919 as a research, just the date, 1919, there's an absolute catalogue of references trying to support the argument that Jesus invisibly selected them in 1919. And you can't have that without 607. So for anybody who says, oh, why is this such a big deal? Why is everything going on about this? No, it is fundamental. It is absolutely crucial to Watchtower's attempts to present itself as an authority on the Bible, and that they are like the Pope, or to a Catholic, they are like we got 8 popes, or how many they are now, 10 or so. You can't have all that without 607 being correct. So that's why it was fundamental. This is the thing. I'll leave it with this, because I don't know how much time we have. I don't ramble on. But for me, that single understanding, I needed to prove to myself once it's correct, or 587 or 586 is correct. Those dates so important. He devoured it. I've studied it 2 times now, and I need to do it again because I've started to forget details. But it's absolute. Anybody, I so highly recommend anybody get a copy of that book and just listen. Just look at the first 2 chapters, or the first chapter even, just to understand how significantly important 607 is to the Watchtower. Now, they don't talk about it. They don't mention it at all now. They're trying to push 1914 away. But it's absolutely fundamental. If anybody really wants to free themselves from the mind games that Watchtower play, go and get a copy of that book and just read the first chapter, because it spells out exactly why it's so important, and it's not too difficult to read either. So when I did that, I tell you, that's when I said, when I did all of the calculations that he done, and this brother, I wish I had a chance to hug him and say thank you to him in person, because his research and his explanation. I'll give you a little, for anyone who doesn't know, he spent 3.5 years researching. He sent the entire thesis to Watchtower headquarters of his research. They said, okay, Brother Johnson, we'll get back to you. They took their time. They realized, they said, and they read a letter. In his book, there is a copy of the correspondence with the Watchtower. And in his book, the Watchtower, the governing body said, "You're right," something to this effect. I don't want to correctly. It was like, even if you've got some basis to be like correct in your understanding of what you're saying, do not share this with anyone. They knew the significance of this. They knew it. And guess what they did? They sent a district overseer over to Sweden to interrogate him and to find out where his head is at. Because this brother was a pioneer, and he was a respected elder, apparently, Brother Brother Johnson. And he was just trying to answer a question for his study. His study asked him, is 607, how do you know it's correct? And he wanted to prove to the person that it was correct. So that was his intentions. It wasn't his intention to undermine the Watchtower or destroy his own theology, what he believed in. He wanted to prove and show that it was correct. Lo and behold, that sent him down that rabbit hole, and he realized that there was much more to it than that. So that's what got me out. Once I got to the end of my research, I was absolutely crystal clear that this organization is not it has no basis in Bible, has no basis in making the claim that they were elected by Jesus Christ through Jehovah or Jesus Christ, or from heaven invisibly. And it became the same kind of story as what the Mormons say what happened to Joseph Smith. He went out and got the golden tablets and then visited, and then he wrote down the Book of Mormon, and that's it, and whatever. It's just the same kind of story. For me, it was like another version of something like that. Another charismatic leader trying to present himself, or a group of leaders trying to present themselves as you listen to us. We have a secret message from God. We know things that you don't know. So no things. So that was what got me out. I was absolutely free, emotionally, spiritually, physically free from rebuilding after, because I've been out 14 years now. The rebuilding after has taken a lot longer than I thought it would be. I thought I'd bounce back and just get my life back in order in terms of reestablishing myself in the world, figuring out what to do with my life and so on. But spiritually and emotionally free immediately. I was absolutely no doubt as to I'm leaving, and it was for theological reasons. That was the main one, apart from things like John 1:1 and the thing of messing around with the verses, adding and admitting key phrases in certain passages to undermine Christ's authority and his headship and his deity as well. Those things were also very important, but the main one was decoupling myself from the organization. I knew that they weren't Yahweh, the God of the Bible, had nothing to do with this organization. I'm telling you, as Rick always says, it was Satan who kicked him out of his organization, because that's really, it doesn't belong to the true God of the scriptures. So I've got my faith. My faith has never ever left me. I've always had my faith. I am the same person in that sense, but I basically had no time for Watchtower anymore. They just look ordinary. They're just ordinary men trying to yield a false authority on people. I don't know what else to say apart from that, but yeah, I didn't have anything planned to speak, but thank you for the opportunity to talk about things.
Maverick, can you hear me at all?
Sorry, hello?
Hi, Maverick. This is Anne-Marie. Can you hear me?
Hello, Anne-Marie. Hello.
That was one of the most incredible, phenomenal stories I've ever heard, and it's good you spoke from your heart. Can you hear me clearly enough?
Yeah, I could hear you. Clearly.
Before my phone gives out, I just want to kind of go over. I hear from your story that you basically lost your sense of self. You lost in your own instincts because they were derailed by the mantra, put Jehovah first, which in other words, we know means put the organization first. You mentioned being out from trying so hard to be a good Jehovah's Witness while actually being turned into a zombie. You test about of what Watchtower really is. You had confusion over who you were. You were being pursued by this unhappy Jehovah's Witness woman, which sadly enough is very, very common. And as always in Watchtower, it's the victim fault, according to the elders. You were trying to cope with an impossible situation without any real guidelines or support, even though you were trying so hard to do the right thing, so brave to realize finally that leaving the organization was the best choice for you. I believe it saved your sanity. We know that if you go to the elders still trying to be the good Jehovah's Witness, the elders can be so cold and brutal, always blaming you, but you decided, as you said, to be a man. You brought that out about 3 times. You decided, not you let them decide for you. You decided to be a man, and you allowed yourself to choose to grab hold of your manhood and your freedom. I am so grateful you chose your manhood and your freedom. And from there, you were able to get out. I'm glad you found Carl Olaf's book. There are other books. We never know what will help, but when your time has come, when you are ready, I believe the Lord knows, Holy Spirit knows, and will help you to get or hear or read or see what you need to help you get out. And I thank you, Maverick. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity to I know it was a little bit all over this sometimes because you're trying to sow decades of your life into a few words, which is almost impossible to do. There's so many nuances and areas that I haven't explored yet. You see, sometimes, I don't know if anybody can see on YouTube. I have a little sort of lion face there. I tell you what, outside my Kingdom Hall, there was a big mural of a lion. Someone had put an artistic mural of a lion, and I used to walk outside the Kingdom Hall and look at that lion, and I used to say to myself, "I'm going to get emotional now."
Okay, sweetie. Okay, sweetheart.
I used to say, you have to be a lion. Sometimes you have to be a lion to fight, and you have to be brave like that lion on that wall to get out of this organization.
Oh,
Sorry.
no.
It's been 14, 15 years that I've been out.
Oh,
And I'm fine, I'm really fine. People see, the light-hearted, I come on screens and I'm on other people's YouTubes, and I'm very light-hearted, and I'm always joking and trying to keep it, we've all gone through some serious stuff, gone through some really heavy things,
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
you know what frustrates me, and Marie, speaking about this, is when people tend to minimize your experience. I never, ever, me personally, no matter what you've gone through, I will validate you to the hilt. Because just because I didn't go through it doesn't mean someone else hasn't through it. Or what? That's nothing to deal with. Someone is struggling. There's everything. People have committed suicide. Sadly, they've ended their lives because of the pain that they've gone through in there. How can I turn around and say, "Oh, it wasn't that bad. I'll get over it"? And you find some witnesses who can realize it. They don't realize how much they invalidate you. Nothing. It's not good. That's why I really appreciate Rick. Rick and everybody here. When I first came onto Rick, so you're very, you're like a kindred spirit to me. I see you like a spiritual father to me, because you're about the same age as me. And I used to say to myself, this is the perfect place for people to come and have validation. More than anything else, it's somebody else has gone through something similar as you, and we all have. I've horrendous stories as we have, and that I said to myself, "Oh my goodness, how did that person even manage that? I don't think I could have managed that. I don't know how I would have handled that, But when I think about situations, and that's why I say you have to have courage. You can't. I say to people, if it's your time, God will give you the strength to face what you have to face. Yeah, He will give you the courage.
Yeah.
And just ask for that courage. Because when I used to walk past that mural in my Kingdom Hall outside, I used to say, you need that courage. You really need. Give me that strength, Lord, because I believed in Him. I knew He was real, but the organization just got in my way. They got in my way.
Yes.
So people who think that people who leave are just out for themselves, or they're selfish, and they just want to live a worldly life, and they just want to go out and take drugs and do all that kind of whatever it is. I'm not judging anyone who's gone down that those roads. They're trying to deal with whatever's going on in their journey, but don't. I wasn't like that. I knew why I left. And I'm glad. It's not a single second. Oh, one last thing. When I put my form in, this is something I just remembered, okay? When I put my form in, it was a Tuesday. I remember it's April the 4th, 2015. I put my disassociation letter in the post box to my congregation, addressed to my Kingdom Hall. That evening, I had the most amazing And I don't want people to think this is crazy. I'm just telling you how I felt and experienced. That evening, I laid in bed and I prayed to God and I said, Lord, this is for you. I did this for you because I believe in rights. I know that you are looking down on me with approval.
Yeah.
I had that moment. At that moment, right? I'm not joking. I had an overwhelming blanket of feeling of love that I've never ever experienced in my life, and I've never had that again. It's weird. And I don't know what it was. And people say to me, when I say to a few people, they said, no, that was the Holy Spirit confirming to you. And I said, well, I'm just saying, trying to describe what I felt. It was like the most intense feeling of love I've ever felt in my entire life. And I wept profusely. I couldn't control it. I was just weeping and weeping. And it wasn't weeping from feeling fear or whatever. It was joy.
Yeah.
It was a joyful weeping for literally a good 10 minutes. And that's it. And I just said to myself, wow. And I felt for myself, no joke, I just felt for myself that was some kind of confirmation to me that you'd done the right thing. It was a stamp of approval. So so when people say to me, did you do the right thing? Or by putting in your form, I said, yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt about that. I'm glad I remembered that because that was quite a significant moment in my journey out of the Watchtower. You know, so that's it really, Anne-Marie.
Maverick, when you said you felt that overwhelming love, I have to say I know. And I know you hear from my heart. I am not saying it lightly. I know.
Yeah.
Didn't it feel like the most incredible peace because the Lord or Heavenly Father literally was wrapping his arms around you with pure love to where nothing and nobody could ever hurt you at all. You were purely wrapped in his love.
Absolutely. It was so profound, Anne-Marie. I didn't expect that. It was the very evening. I got back I went out. I wrote the letter and I was supposed to do it. I was supposed to send it on March the 3rd, which was the day of my baptism back in 1990. So it would have been a full circle from March the 3rd, 1990 to March the 3rd, 2015. But I just didn't write the letter properly. And you know how we do when we think about writing a letter, I was going to just put this big, long thesis of why I don't want this point and that scriptural point. And I went, you know what? No, I'm not doing this. That's just to satisfy my ego. Make me feel like I'm telling them, I'm sticking it to the man, as it were. I said, no, I'm not. I just thought I'm just going to simply outline the fact that some simple things about John 14:6 that we go John 14:6 and John chapter 5 verse 24. And I am the way, the truth, and the life. I believe in sola scriptura. I believe the Bible is the authority above all men. And so for me, I just kept it simple, and I told the elders I have no bad feeling towards the congregation or the elders. I just want to be left alone, and please don't try to keep harassing me now in terms of trying to keep making contact with me to try and encourage me to come back because I've made my mind up, and I'm not coming back, and that's it. And so that was and from there, honestly, Anne-Marie, that evening I put my form in, I put the letter in, and it was incredible feeling. I don't know, other people have said different things, but I do believe that the Lord comes to you the way he comes to you the way you understand.
Yeah.
Some people it's very dramatic, and some people it's very subtle, and it's personal. It's a personal thing. So whether that's somebody will say that was just you or whatever, that's for them to make that. It's up to them how they interpret it. But I know what I felt that day, and it was nothing like ever in my life.
I
so you had something similar then?
No, it was exactly like that. I have never heard anyone else ever in my entire life describe that incredible feeling that I could only at the time describe as feeling as if my Heavenly Father had just wrapped his arms full of love around me. And I knew in that moment that I was truly loved. There was nothing held against me, that nothing, that I was protected. I've never felt it again, but for that time, like you said, you cried because you knew what it was. You didn't need someone to tell you, oh, it was this, oh, it was that. You knew, you know, your heart and your spirit were wrapped in his love. And doesn't John 4:8 say, God is love? But how many of us can really know what that means?
Yeah, it was truly amazing feeling like nothing. I don't know. I can't describe it. It's never happened again. So like it was brilliant. Like I say, a blanket. It felt like an envelopment over me. My entire being was enveloped in this feeling of love, and it was so strange, Anne Marie. And
wonderful, the most wonderful peace and your love, to be able to start in human terms and have another human know exactly what you mean. That's what you've done for me, and I thank you for that. And I thank you. I thank you
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And you see, this is going to be in the archives, and I hope that there's a good thumbnail that everybody will want to click on this particular show to hear everything you said, because you have helped so many, and you have no idea, so many. Because doesn't it come down to the God of our creation, his love for us, and the truth of his love for us, that it has nothing to do with dogma and organization and religion and what's correct to understand and what we need to know about, just God's love, pure love for us, and that we can trust in that love.
Yeah, absolutely, Anne Marie. It's kind of taking me back hearing you say you had a similar experience, which wow. I don't know. I don't know anybody myself as well. I haven't heard anyone else say the same thing as well. So maybe we'll be kindred spirits now.
Well, you are a very deeply good and kind, loving man, and for you to validate everyone, and it's never about how bad somebody else's experience was. Like my mom used to say, she said, if you have a broken leg and it's causing you terrible pain, does it hurt less when you find out that somebody else had 2 broken legs, broken in 4 places? Does it make your pain? No. All of our stories are important. We all were hurt, and we were all somehow able to break free. And I believe, only the Lord, Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ knows us what we need, when and how to be able to break free. And you did it.
We all did. We're all living testimony of the fact that if you ask him, he will reward you. And this is where he says about being intensely. If we go to him, he will not betray us. You know, we have to really want that as well, because sometimes we play lip service to it a little bit. I certainly remember playing that, those games in my head, what do I want to do and whatever. But when it comes down to it, there comes a point in every person's life. I mean, this is probably what Ray Franz would have said. There's a crisis of conscience. You get to a point where you cannot reconcile what's been said, and it builds up this critical mass in your brain, and you have to, you have to act on it. And I sincerely encourage anybody who is sitting on the fence a little bit because they just don't know what to do. Just don't try and force anything. Just go straight to the Lord. Ask God to give you the courage to do what you know in your heart is the right thing. Because you won't have peace without him. This organization is not going to give you what you think it is. It's a pseudo environment that is not going to help you in your relationship with God or your walk with him. It won't. It will just hinder you. That's why I said it hindered us, didn't it? There were so so many good things in some ways. This community is not a bad thing, but if community comes at a price where you are compromising yourself in every way, then, you know, I said, I don't care. I said, I don't care. I'll be in the wilderness on my own. I basically gave up every single relationship in that place, barring just one person who's a PMO, who I'm grateful for. He's proven to be a really true friend. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, Anne-Marie.
Oh, Margaret, you've made my whole year, and I cannot wait for everyone to hear your incredible, I don't know, testimony, story, everything you said. I am so glad you brought it out, and I'm especially touched by the mural of the Kingdom Hall's lions that the Lord used to call for you, the spirit of a lion, the lion-hearted, and how emotional it made you feel because it touched your spirit and was goading you. You can do it, Maverick. You are loved. You don't need the approval of this evil organization to be loved by God.
That's the thing that,
and you know, I really
found the symbol outside the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the thing is, you see, I used to be. When you first leave, you're very, very raw and emotional, and you can really go off on one as well. And I had those times, but I'm calm now. You know, I have my moments when we have something said that's particularly grates on us, you know, from the broadcast or whatever. But I don't actually have any personal vendetta against the organization. You know, like most of us here, we just deeply care about integrity and truth. You know, they say to us that, oh, we're in the truth. I say, no, you're not in the truth. Because if you really believe that you were in the truth, you would care about truth. You would care about what's right and wrong. So it's just, you know, they don't care about the truth. They don't care about anything that is outside of keeping their authority structure. So,
exactly. And it's all.
When I went to read this one book that was written by Barbara Harrison, it was in the writing department. It's called Visions of Glory, and there's a free PDF online of it. That I had to go to a brick and mortar library, and I requested the copy of it. And when I left that library, because I felt like lightning was going to strike me inside the library just for requesting the book title. And after I sat there all day and read it, and when I left, I felt like a weight had lifted off of me, and that the world was a much brighter place. So they have put a whammy on us of some sort.
Yeah.
And
that's
when
true.
you're truly free, you don't have that whammy on you anymore.
Yeah. You know, I still have. I'll be honest. You know, I use the name Maverick here on YouTube. I still struggling sometimes with. You know, how do I put this? I'm really, really I'm trying so hard to hang on to privacy in my life because I felt like my whole life has been intruded on so many times, and then the social media world is I wanted to do big things. I still want to do. I am going to do. I'm not saying I want to. I am. I'm speaking positively for the future.
I understand about the privacy, and you will.
Yeah. You know, it's really strange because I'm a very open person. You know, people who know me, I'm very transparent, open, and yet I've you know, I'm not using my real name. The other day, somebody else said, "Oh, could we get a picture of you?" I think it was Casey and Anthony, the channel JW Facts on JW. Lovely couple. I really like them a lot. I'm always on their channel. And they did want to, so I said, what do you look like? And I'm like, well, one day I will come out and speak openly and show my face on the camera. It's not because I'm trying to hide or nothing. It's just I'm fighting to you know, it's like maybe there's a little bit of judgment. There's a judgment call in I've been dealing with narcissism and narcissistic people my entire life, and when you're told constantly. Yeah, I am honestly, I'm so keenly attuned to people's narcissistic behavior, And so, and when you had a barrage of I'm just not, I need to get to a place of strength where water, everything comes, it's water off the duck's back, as they say. So before I can, then I'll be a force to be reckoned with, because I know in myself I'm a fighter and I'm a very, very passionate person, and I've gone through a hell of a lot of things, as everybody has done in their life too. There's going to be, because I wanted to do a channel back when I wanted to do a channel on YouTube. I wanted to have my own radio station, like, when Rick talks about everything set up to have a massive impact, then I will. That's my next project. It's my next project to work towards, because I think that every force that we can all join together to do something in this space, and it's not just about Watchtower, it's generally about dealing with these topics that are universal. The amount of stuff that we have to put up with in the general world, like the propaganda, the impact that the world, the way the world impacts everybody. The media is constantly negative, in your face, telling you this is what it's going to be like. I just see Watchtower was just like one branch of a collective of unhealthy psychological mechanisms that keep everybody in a place.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
I like Casey and Anthony too. They remind me of the young couple you want to have over for dinner when we were at Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
They would have been that couple,
Yeah,
I
love
theater
them.
of the mind.
They're really great.
Radio has theater of the mind. So if we can do that here, if we can allow the viewer to imagine about us, if it gives people courage, if Orlando wants to come on and use Orlando, if other people want to come on with a name Degar, then they should, because privacy is important in our day. And sometimes you can be more honest about your emotions if you're not without a little privacy.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean,
to say things honestly to this audience and help people by not divulging everything about my daily life.
Yeah. I mean, it took a lot for me to even go to what I said about that scenario that happened to me in the Kingdom Hall about all those years ago. Even that, I couldn't talk about it for years, because I did feel bad about the whole thing, because I felt like I betrayed the guy. We're all having lunch together, and he doesn't know anything about what his wife's intentions are towards me, and I can't say nothing to him. And I realized that I should have I was too young. Just barely out of school. I didn't know how to deal with it, and it overwhelmed me. So even that, talking about that to me now, I'm in my 50s now, so I'm a completely different person.
All that glamorous beauty has its price, and beauty has its advantage. And if you're very handsome, you're in that category where people might, objectify. I know when I was young and beautiful, people objectify.
Yeah, I don't know about. Yeah. You're right there. Absolutely, you're right. But I was just very young and innocent. I was a lamb to the slaughter for this organization. I'm telling you.
Well, you're a good brother.
Because,
a lot of men would have gotten into a love triangle, and that would have been 3 disfellowships or whatever. But they were wrong.
Absolutely.
To take the polls for something you did not do. For you to be Joseph in the Potiphar story, they should have patted you on the back and said, "Well done."
A decade later, this is what I found unbelievable. It was a decade later which I talked about. It's like, that's this long way away, and they decided to make an example.
That's it's sadistic. They love to beat down the they're the evil slave, and they want to beat the good ones.
They are. It's true. It's so true. But I'm glad I did the right thing by speaking to him and the husband of the guy, because I knew. Here's the thing. I'm a 20-year-old man. I mean, in front, everything's in front of me. You know, there was lovely sisters in my congregation, and at that time, and you know, you're thinking you got the world at your feet. You know, you're a young person, you're just starting your life, you're looking at, and I wasn't really that bothered about relationships in that page, that time in my life anyway. I was more interested in my trying to make something of myself, you know, and so this person just came and just basically imposed themselves on me. Was like, I don't need you. You've already decided. You're married. You've got children. You've already had your life, and now you want to come and mess up mine before it's even started. No way. So I didn't want that. I didn't want my first kind of relationship to be a complete mess with somebody who's not available to me anyway. You know, some people get entangled because they think that they're in love with someone.
Mature enough to see that too.
Well, yeah, I saw so many things in my own family and my own life, which I thought, you know what, you make a mistake in the person you marry, and that's it, you know. So it made me some life lessons I learned from early that, you know, some things you take seriously. Like your life partner is somebody you should want to be with, you know, and you know, I'm not saying that it's inevitable that you're going to meet the person that you're going to want to spend your life with. Things happen sometimes, but you know, that for me was like I'm walking towards life with this positive, bright energy about me back then, and I think maybe that's where the predators see that. The predators see that, they want to destroy that.
They want to interrupt
that.
There's a new age phrase. It's new to me, but I think it goes back to the 19th century. They want your louche. This is a new phrase.
Right.
They see the bright and shiny, and they want to evaporate it out of you. It's vampiric.
Yeah.
I
understand. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, what a journey. You know, when you start talking about these things, you start remembering all the little nuances and everything in between. And it's quite a lot for all of us. I'm sure many people have got so many more stories, more intense than even my situation. But yeah,
well, I think you've helped a lot of young men today that listen in too. You've given a story that they can relate to, and how the governing body and how these kangaroo courts and how these groups really have, it's a kind of spiritual bullying. So thank you. You inspired me yet again today.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I didn't really kind of have a thought process before I started opening my mouth. It just came out as it came out. But thanks for the opportunity, everyone, you know.
Well, thank you very much, Maverick, for wanting to come on. And I know spur of the moment, kind of what they would say, impromptu in the witness world, right? When in the ministry schools. So thank you for coming on impromptu, and that was very good. I sat in my seat here listening to you, and amazing story. You're an amazing guy, Maverick, and don't you ever change. I mean, just keep staying Maverick, okay?
Well, thank you, and same with you, Rick. You inspire me every week. I really appreciate what you do. I respect you for so much as a person, as a brother in Christ, and I really will do everything I can to support you and everything you're doing, as long as everybody else on 6 screens. I really appreciate everything you do every week, and you don't realize how big an impact you've had on everyone's life as well. And I thank you as well. As much.
Well, that means a lot to me, Maverick. It really, really does. It means an awful lot. You're a good man. You're a really good man. So thank you for being part of the 6 Screens community too. Well, Anne Marie, you want to come in, Anne Marie, and just give your last thoughts here? We're going to go with the news.
I'm just overwhelmed. Our brother Maverick coming on and speaking so viscerally from his heart the reality of what he went through, which so many of us, if not all of us, can relate to and understand, bringing up so many things in such an incredible way. Maverick, we thank you so much. Thank you all for coming in and listening, and please, I hope you all listen to Maverick's story again on YouTube. I want to thank everyone for coming on to the show this Sunday, Six Green Sunday, February 8, 2026. This is the show of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses sharing their story of being in the Watchtower. Maverick, I cannot thank you enough, and especially for sharing that incredible example and experience of being wrapped up in the love of our Lord who loves us so much. We have to hope and pray that our lost brothers and sisters and everyone thinking that they have to follow man in order to be approved by God, we have to get that nuts and bolts in our head. We are not here to follow any man. Thank you so much. We need to go to Rick.
Thank you, Evan.
Thank you. We need to go to Rick and JW World News Sunday edition. Rick?
Well, there you go. So listen, we're going to do about 15, 20 minutes of news. Then we go to the Christian court. But I wanted to just come on today. I'm going to go to news in just a second. But we appreciate all of the people who were listening into, a lot of people listening into Maverick as he gave his story of being in the Watchtower. So anyone listening out there that would like to tell their story and get into real depth, you generally can't do it on Saturday night because we have other things we are doing. But this is the place that you can come in and tell your story. We'll give you plenty of time to do it. So if you're interested in telling your story of being in the Watchtower, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and I'll get a hold of you, and we'll get you on to tell your story. And even I'll tell you what happens. You know, people, they get emotional. I get emotional when I tell my story of leaving the Watchtower. Everybody does. We notice it with Maverick, and people come on and do that. That's a release. Well, what that is doing is it's getting something off your chest, something that's been kind of hovering there and putting pressure on you. But boy, I'll tell you, so many people have said when they tell their story of getting out of the Watchtower, it really has made a remarkable difference in their life. So don't be inhibited. Come on and tell your story. Thank you all for joining us today. We're going to JW World News coming up next right here on the Six Screens Telenetwork.